They chopped down his 50-year-old tree for blocking the view. His viral video sparked a legal battle. In the serene, tree-lined neighborhood of Oakwood Estates, Georgia, where historic homes sat under sprawling oaks and magnolias, 62-year-old Henry Brooks had a cherished piece of family history. In his front yard stood a 50-year-old pecan tree, planted by his father when Henry was just a boy. The tree, towering at 60 feet with a thick canopy, bore fruit every fall, providing pecans for Henry's famous pies, a tradition he shared with his late wife, Margaret. Henry, a retired electrician and widower, often sat under the tree with his granddaughter, 8-year-old Lily, telling her stories of her great-grandfather. The tree wasn't just a plant, it was a living memory, its gnarled branches a testament to decades of love and resilience. But the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association saw the tree as an obstacle. The HOA president, 54-year-old Catherine Miles, a real estate agent obsessed with curb appeal, had received a complaint from a new resident who claimed the tree blocked the view of the street and made the neighborhood look cluttered. Catherine pointed to a bylaw that stated, "Trees must not obstruct sightlines or detract from the community's appearance." It was a rule rarely enforced. Other large trees dotted the neighborhood, but Catherine saw Henry's pecan tree as a liability, especially since its branches extended over the sidewalk, dropping leaves and pecans that she deemed messy. In early February 2025, Catherine sent Henry a letter citing the bylaw and demanding that he trim the tree to under 20 feet or remove it entirely within 48 hours, or face a $2,000 fine for visual obstruction. The letter also warned that failure to comply would result in corrective action by the HOA. Henry was devastated. Trimming the tree that drastically would kill it, and removing it was unthinkable. He called Catherine, explaining the tree's sentimental value and its history, offering to clean up the leaves and pecans more frequently. He even invited her to see the tree's beauty in person. But Catherine was unmoved. "It's blocking the view," she said sharply. "Cut it down or we will." Henry planned to appeal the decision at the next HOA meeting, hoping to save his father's legacy. He never got the chance. On a crisp Tuesday morning, while Henry was at the grocery store picking up ingredients for his pecan pie, a crew of HOA contracted arborists arrived with chainsaws. Without warning, they began cutting down the pecan tree, its massive trunk groaning as it fell to the ground with a thunderous crash. Branches snapped, pecans scattered across the lawn, and the once majestic tree was reduced to a pile of logs within hours. The workers left a notice on Henry's door, a $2,000 fine for the visual obstruction, plus a $700 removal fee, signed by Catherine Miles. Henry returned home, dropping his grocery bags in shock as he saw the stump where his tree once stood. "No, no," he shouted, falling to his knees beside the remains, tears streaming down his face. A neighbor, 34-year-old photographer Daniel Reed, filmed the aftermath, capturing the fallen tree, Henry's anguish, and the fine notice. He posted the video on X with the caption, "The HOA cut down his 50-year-old tree for blocking the view. Tree down." The video went viral, gaining 12 million views in 48 hours with the hashtag trending nationwide. People were horrified, calling the HOA's actions heartless and destructive. Local news stations in Atlanta covered the story, interviewing a heartbroken Henry, who said, "That tree was my father's legacy. They killed it." The reporter also spoke to an arborist who valued the tree at $15,000, noting its age and rarity, far beyond the fine imposed. The community rallied behind Henry. Daniel organized a protest outside the HOA office, where dozens of residents gathered with branches and signs reading, "Trees are history," and "Stop HOA vandalism." Some brought pecans, placing them at the office door in memory of Henry's tree. A GoFundMe page to help Henry plant a new tree raised $9,000 in a week, with donors leaving messages like, "This is an outrage," and "Justice for Henry." The story caught national attention, with outlets like ABC and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution running headlines like, "HOA cuts down 50-year-old tree, breaks man's heart," and "Georgia man fights HOA after tree destruction." Henry decided to sue the HOA, determined to hold Catherine accountable and protect other historic trees. He hired a lawyer, Laura Bennett, who argued that the HOA's actions constituted vandalism, emotional distress, and destruction of property, and that the sightline rule was arbitrarily enforced as other large trees were untouched. The lawsuit sought $20,000 in damages, the removal of the fine, and an injunction to prevent tree removals without owner consent. The case drew a crowd to the courtroom, with supporters wearing green ribbons for Henry's tree. Laura presented Daniel's video as evidence, along with the arborist's $15,000 valuation. Henry took the stand, his voice trembling. That tree held my family's memories. They took it without a second thought. Catherine, representing the HOA, showed no remorse. She claimed the sightline rule was meant to enhance visibility and that Henry's non-compliance justified the removal. She produced the bylaw and argued that the HOA had the right to enforce its rules, even with direct action. The judge, a firm believer in HOA authority, ruled in favor of the HOA, stating that the bylaw was legally binding and Henry had been warned. The fine was upheld and Henry was ordered to pay the HOA's legal fees, an additional $5,000 burden. Henry left the courtroom, clutching a pecan from his tree, his granddaughter Lily holding his hand as they walked out. The ruling sparked outrage online, with number tree down trending again, this time with calls for environmental protections against HOAs. Conservationists and historians condemned the decision, arguing that it disregarded heritage and nature. In Oakwood Estates, Catherine remained HOA president, issuing new rules requiring all trees over 30 feet to be pre-approved, with fines doubled to $4,000. Henry used the GoFundMe money to plant a new pecan sapling, but it would take decades to grow like its predecessor. Lily stopped asking for pecan pie, the memory too painful. Oakwood Estates, once a place of history, turned into a battleground, with residents fearing for their own trees under Catherine's watchful eye.